Hey there, teachers. I was just playing for you an arpeggio. That is when I take a chord, in this case a D, and I play each note in the chord one by one. But I wasn't just playing an arpeggio from the lowest pitch to the highest. I was mixing it up. I was changing rhythm. I was picking different strings. Now, a lot of times when our kids start playing a chord, like a D chord, it sounds something like this. What's happening is they're only playing one or two of the notes instead of all four. And the best way to improve that is to play every note one at a time and check your technique. See what the problem is. Maybe one finger is not straight enough, maybe one of them's not pressing hard enough, maybe your hand's on an angle. But to have kids sit there and do that, it could be a little boring. So we're going to knock out two birds with one stone. We're going to have them compose their own melody using the notes of a chord, which is going to force them to have good technique. For instance, if this is my melody, I'm playing a D chord, I'm going to play 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string, 1st string. If one of my fingers isn't pressing down enough, let's say the one on the 1st string, I'm going to get this. Right? So now I have to make sure I press down a little harder and then I try again. So the exercise is to have your students compose their own melody using one chord, two chords, three chords, doesn't really matter. Best place to start as simple as possible. So let's say one chord. So you can have every kid take a D chord or a chord of their choosing and create their own arpeggio pattern using that chord. Some of them might go like this. Some of them might go like this. Now you might want to create some more parameters for this activity, like you have to use at least 3 strings. Okay? For other kids, maybe you differentiate, only use 2 strings. For others, use 4 to 6 strings, depending on the chord, right? So if it was a D chord and the parameters were use 3 strings, maybe I'll just go. Maybe I'll go like this. I use 4 strings, right? Now another thing is your students might forget what their composition is. So a good way for them to remember is to write it down. Now the way we teach chords, we don't teach you right off the bat what the name of each note in the chord is. That's fine. They can use either tab to write down their ideas. They could just use string numbers. So maybe they want to write something like this. I'm going to post a paper on the screen. But maybe they'll write D chord, and then maybe they'll write 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. If I played that, it would be 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Maybe they'll put the notes that are closer together on their paper closer together. So 1, 1, 2, then a space, 1, 2, 3. So this also gives them a chance to explore iconographic, non-traditional notation in order for them to record their ideas so they don't forget them. You might also want to go around with the recorder on your phone or on an iPad or even using your laptop just to record their ideas so the next class they'll be able to listen to them. So just to recap, this is a great way to teach creativity. Students compose, motivates them to come up with their own creation, hires their self-esteem, and helps them get closer to discovering their own personal musical voice. Number 2, practicing technique, making sure that each note in the chord rings out clearly. And number 3, practicing or using iconographic notation.